Welcome to the introduction for chapter 3. We see uh, in God's time and seasons. This is an idea that everything has a period in life. There's a time for good and a time for bad. And Solomon goes through a litany of listings that start with birth and death and cover a variety of other topics showing that these seasons, whether you work hard or don't work hard, are going to occur. So these are outside your purview, outside your control. These are things that happen. Humans experience it, but they absolutely don't control it. And in fact, it can be perplexing. We don't know the purpose or meaning behind it, but it is God's purpose and it exceeds human understanding. So in this chapter, we're going to find out that any injustices are not going to escape God, but it is meaning that is found in trusting God. The first 8 verses, of course, cover what was turned from Pete Seeger's writing into a top 10 hit in the 60s from the Byrds that outline again that life is going to unfold. There are opposites in experience, and there is no season, no good that lasts forever and no bad that lasts forever. These are the seasons. If anything, they are the masters of our life under the sun, things that just occur and continue. Um, we are going to find a sovereignty that God enjoys over that joy and sorrow. And as we read through the passages, we're going to see kind of a divine order. Next, we're going to see, and as shown in this AI graphic, Solomon just feeling in his heart a longing for more. If this was not the case, we would not be so frustrated by the futile existence of our lives. We would feel a purpose that we were destined for something. As C.S. Lewis writes, a duck longs for water because it's made for water. We long for something that is not filled in this life. It means that that can't be filled in this life, that there is something else, something out there, eternity. So the concept that God places that eternity on the human heart is actually one of the upbeat portions of what is otherwise a downtrodden chapter that says we have this yearning, this desire to have a purpose that extends beyond those things that under the sun disappear and are difficult to grab and are essentially futile. The challenge, though, is that God gives us this yearning, but doesn't give us complete understanding. And in fact, that's part of the yearning is that we continue to desire to understand. If anything, in light of that, we should just enjoy God's gifts, the simple pleasures of meal and relaxation are to be appreciated. We know that God's purpose will endure, and we are unable to add anything to that life. But our takeaway objective here under the old Jewish tradition that those who honor and revere and fear God are blessed, and that blessing is going to take the place of just earthly events, bigger flocks, bigger land, more children. Those are the ones that we should be focused on, and it's only through that fear and reverence is our proper response to knowing there is a God. We see the introduction of justice, or excuse me, the introduction of injustice that you're going to see explored more heavily in chapters 4 and 5. But that injustice is always in a human court, and it seems like the wrongdoers are going to prosper. This is part of the observation that you and I share as well. But we get some solace in knowing that God sees every action and his judgment will come in time. This is actually, again, a second glimmer of hope that with a eternal judge that sees all, knows all, and has in his design a ultimate justice, this can actually be a point of comfort for us that even in this life, if we are unjustly treated, we'll eventually see the justice that we deserve. The chapter turns very negative toward the end and talks about how life under the sun is temporary, and in fact compares man and beasts to the same fate. They're in this thought experiment from Solomon, we see him asking the question, what if there is no resurrection of the spirit. The Jews in the day, of course, believed that there was a soul sleep, that people died, went into the ground and slept and waited for the Messiah, the chosen one, to return, in which case any of the living would be raised, the dead would be raised, and finally true justice endured. But he's saying, what if that isn't the case? Aren't we just like animals? We are born and die and rot away from ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So there's a thinking here that again, under the sun, without a hope of a just Lord, without a hope of a second, judgment and a resurrection, that it is death that humbles the human pride, and people really can't control the spirit. And in fact, the only thing they can do is work. It's a the make the best of a bad situation. At least you can have a little bit of toiling that nets some earthly pleasures. And of course, this leaves us again with the idea that everything we do is futile. Everything we do, since it ends in mortality, is a waste of time. And it's a very bleak outcome, but we turn for hope at the end of this chapter to Paul's letter to the Corinthians, where he instills a concept that under the sun, S-O-N, we have renewed purpose in literally every breath we draw. And he says, my dear brothers and sisters, stand firm. Let nothing move you. Always give yourselves fully to the work of the Lord, because you know that your labor in the Lord is not in vain. So that's the key phrase there. If we labor in keeping with the Lord's commandments, in keeping with the Lord's values, in keeping with the directives that we learned as followers of the Lord Jesus, that work suddenly is not in vain, that it has meaning, and it is fulfilling a divine purpose. Here we end with a glimpse into the New Testament, though it's not part of our study, just to keep us from falling into that maudlin view that nothing matters under the sun. We'll continue in the next chapter.